The master category section every week is when we get to talk about the tokens we drew the week before. And this week, wouldn't you know it, we all got our own categories.
We did it.
It's just a nice breath of relief, a sigh of relief.
Well, we didn't do it. George did it. George
did it, yeah. So let me just say this. He definitely...
picked numbers.
Yeah, no. He did pick numbers, but what I'm saying is, if you're talking about a guy who undersells himself...
Right.
If you're talking about a guy who buries the proverbial lead,
yep.
That is George. So go back and listen to that conversation and stick around to the end because
he's done some stuff.
He's done some things. So
the last 5 minutes are very revealing.
The last 5 minutes are like what? Like why what? Anyway, but that was last week. We're on to this week. He drew all of our own categories for us. We are forever grateful. Luke, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So Android, you guys know what Android phones are, right? That's like
we're familiar.
Heard of them.
It's
sure.
the thing that's opposite iOS, right? Because there's iOS and then there's Android. There's kind of like Windows sometimes, and then there's, just like the other random thing of whatever, is doing good in the stock market. They have a phone. I don't know. But I used Android in 2007. I got the G1, the very first Android phone that came out. Used it for a while. I was working in the cell phone industry selling phones, so I used Android for about 2 years, and then I dropped off. So from 2009 till now, I had not had an Android phone, and I just got the Pixel 2 XL, and I'm back in Android. It has changed quite a bit in 8 years. It's totally there's some similar things. There's the ability to have widgets on your screen.
You still have Brick Breaker and Snake.
Right, Brick Breaker and Snake. There is the integration with your whole Google account. But there's things like Google Assistant that are really good and very intuitive and helpful. You can control almost every feature on your phone from talking just to the assistant. This camera is stupid. Like, it's insanely good. Some of the pictures that I've taken are just have blown my mind. But Android is it's totally different than iOS. It's a little bit of a learning curve of getting back into it. Weird things like visual voicemail doesn't exist. So I'm back to just calling my voicemail and checking it just regular, millions of other weirdos.
Are you
get a lot of messages?
Voicemails?
That seems like...
Yeah.
I never get voicemails.
Well, okay, a lot is two. I maybe get 2 or 3
Patrick,
every couple days.
you're still a millennial, and Luke is not. Luke is Generation X.
So he has 8,500 unread messages.
I'm a zennial.
Luke is a baby boomer.
Oh, man.
But so stuff like that, or just weird things that are not like iOS. So it's been fun this last couple days to try and get back into it and get my phone personalized and set up how I want it. The way it handles email is a little different with, making sure which inbox you're in or where if there's a global inbox and just weird stuff like that. But I really, really like it. I don't know if I will ever go back to iOS. And that's a really weird thing to say because I used it for so long and it's very comfortable. I still have my iPhone right here. And now that I pick it up and look at it, and I've done some things on it today, just trying to transfer over some contacts and weird stuff like that. First of all, it's not that different of a screen size, but this thing feels super tiny now. Only after a couple days, and just where things are as far as moving around in the menu system and getting your system settings and stuff like that. The shortcuts here feel more intuitive to how I would normally access them than they did on my iPhone.
Do you attribute some of that to you having jumped the ship from a Mac to a PC? Like you've already started like navigating outside of the Apple sphere?
No, because here's the weird thing. Like, it's not even similar to Windows. You know what I mean? It's not even set up like there's not a start menu, and it's not like the same kind of like setting terminology that it would be in Windows. So I don't think it's that. I think it's just I've been used to Google for a really long time, ever since I signed up for my first Gmail account. And I think just from using all of, Drive, Docs, like all of the Google account features, it's now on the phone and it's all integrated and it's all there. And it really feels natural because I'm used to how Google handles all of the system and all the preferences and stuff like that.
That's still a very strong statement. Like, I know that there's people that are listening that's especially this quickly, that it doesn't seem like it's taken you that. I mean, well, it hasn't. It hasn't taken you that long to apparently be very, very comfortable with the new system.
I'm extremely pleased with it. Now I'll say I did use it for a couple years. Like I said before, I used it for about 2 years before I switched to iOS, and it hasn't changed much. The whole the base of the OS is the same. So I had a little bit of knowledge, but 8 years later, how much do you really remember? I think it's just honestly for me and how I process information and UI and UX, it makes more sense to me.
Sure. So let me ask you this. You've mentioned ease of use, like naturally being able to find things that you need to use, system settings, whatever.
Right.
You've mentioned the camera.
Yep.
Can you identify like maybe one or two of the other like things that you would just say are really big pros for you, and then maybe one or two of like the cons?
Pro wise, I mean it's native Chrome browser, and I know Chrome and I like Chrome. It's so the Pixel is stock Android, so it doesn't have any like, it's not wrapped in a Sony skin or a Samsung skin, or another carrier hasn't kind of changed the OS to fit like the brand. Like most Samsung phones have like a Samsung version of Android. So it's pure in that sense. Maybe the thing I don't like is just some little nuanced settings of if you turn the volume all the way down. Normally I keep my volume off. I just have it on vibrate, my phone on vibrate all the time. And if you turn it off, you can go one step lower in volume to turn off vibrate, but it also puts you into do not disturb. And so yesterday, like half the day, I didn't get any conversation or any phone calls, or I missed almost everything because I was on do not disturb and I didn't even realize it. So that was, that's just probably just a learning curve. I don't think that's necessarily a con of the OS to me, but it is, that was one thing that I didn't realize that I thought was a little bit maybe too easy to mess up. The other thing is that I don't know if I necessarily like is there is a lot of content in the Play Store that
could destroy your phone.
Well, not destroy your phone, but so there's things called launchers. So you can customize how your menu system works. That you can change your icons. You can change some of the like base UI of your phone, which is sounds cool, but if you don't know what you're doing, you could, especially if you're not a new user and kind of get into that, you could really mess up just your phone experience. And so I think
it's a pro and con. Super customizable, but if you don't know what you're doing,
right, it's almost a little bit. It's like having a PC. You have full control over almost every aspect of your system and its processing and its internal like workings down to RAM and base settings. But the bad part is you can also mess that up. So I think maybe those would be the cons right now. I'm sure I'll find more of just comfort things that I got used to that I have to relearn. But overall, man, I really like it. Would Andrew
like the phone? Do you think if Andrew made the switch that he would like it?
I think he would find things he likes, but I don't think so. I think if you are in a Mac world and if you use a Mac computer, whether it's desktop or laptop, it wouldn't be it would be inconvenient to make a switch because those play together so nice.
And so, like, I mean, I use my Apple Watch for practically everything, right. And you have an Apple Watch. Are you just abandoning it now?
Yeah, I'm not going to use it, which sucks because I like the Apple Watch. Like, but I was thinking, and the thing that I like is one, being able to just check my wrist for the time. I got really used to checking that again. And two, just seeing a call or text and either being able to ignore a call or just to know what the buzz in my pocket was.
Knowing what's going on, right?
Yeah. I never did any communication through the watch. I never.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Oh.
Yeah, you did.
Maybe once or twice.
Here's my
Agent
thing. Like,
Luke over there
I haven't turned my like, I don't think I've had vibrate on my phone in probably the last 2 years.
So it's and just I also silent?
I also keep my phone on silent all the time, and I just use haptics on my wrist. And it's really nice because honestly, one of the most annoying pet peeves for me is sitting in a meeting.
Yeah.
I don't even mind if someone's phone rings in a meeting. It's sitting in a meeting and people's phones sitting on their desk and then it vibrates and the whole desk shakes.
Right.
I hate it.
Right.
I hate it with a passion.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, there's no way that I'm going to switch.
Yeah.
The phone looks great, but everything I do is so tied to Apple that it would be inconvenient is probably the best word for it.
And that's why I don't think. Would you be okay with the phone? You could get used to it. And I think there are things you would really like versus iPhone. I think.
I mean, I was Android before.
Right.
Before. So. Yeah.
But yeah, I guess to answer the question, Patrick, I don't think it would work for him. I don't think it would necessarily work for you. You have a PC, but you also are on a Mac most of the day. Do you do much interaction between your...
Never.
Okay,
never. So I don't have any other devices. Yeah, I don't have an iPad. I don't have a watch, nothing like that. And I don't do any of the sharing between devices. Okay. So I don't copy and paste across. Mm-hmm. I don't take web pages and open them on the other device. Right. I don't iMessage from my MacBook or anything like that.
Gotcha.
They might as well not be connected because I don't use any of the connectivity.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah, you wouldn't have a problem.
Yeah, it would be a no-brainer. My thing now is just I don't want to spend $1,000 on a phone or $900 on a phone. My phone's paid off,
right?
And it's still like a 7 Plus, that's still a great phone.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
I mean, I love the XL. I mean, you know that I've already talked about on here that I really genuinely, if I was going to put the money down, that's what I'd put the money on right now.
Yep.
It's just a lot of money to spend if I don't have to. So I'm going to hold off. I'm honestly going to wait a year.
Yeah.
We'll get a whole nother line of phones in a year, and then maybe I'll do something then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was toys and games, but this is my new toy. So.
And you're going to play games on it.
I'll play games on it. I found a game called Aqueduct that's really awesome. It's gorgeous, and it's super simple. You just make aqueducts and connect water to different places. It's like a puzzle game. It's really cool. But that's it. So let's say, Andrew, let's hear your category.
Yeah, so I got art and design because that's my category. But
more like sport and design.
We've talked to this artist before, but I want to talk about one specific piece of art. So, like I said at the beginning of this episode and on the Around the Table episode, that I haven't been buying stuff. I've been getting rid of stuff.
Sure.
But I did get something a while back, and it's coming. So it'll be here if you're listening to this on record day. If you're watching this on record day or on not record day, on release day, it's getting here today, and I'm really excited about it. But it's Kevin Wilson. It's another New York Comic Con piece that he released. Kevin Wilson, friend of ours who's been on the show, did a Gremlins piece.
This is another one in conjunction with Hero Complex.
Yeah, it's Hero Complex Gallery. It's New York Comic Con, and you may remember Kevin Wilson from our show. He did the Incredibles piece that you can't see, but it's directly in front of me. It's right here. It's insanely good, and one of the cool things about it, similar to Kevin Tong, maybe it's a Kevin thing, is he puts Easter eggs in a lot of his pieces. And the Incredibles piece has like 7 or 8 fun Easter eggs if you look for it. They're all Pixar related, and it's really fun and really cool. But his new Gremlins piece has over 50 Easter eggs in it.
That's many.
I believe it's 52 or 58. Those two numbers for some reason are sticking in my head. But it has over 50 film and TV references, nostalgic 80s all the way up to Stranger Things references, and it's insane. So if you're familiar with Kevin's work, he does very highly rendered, detailed work, but it always has a bit of a darker tone to it.
Sure.
And so this was a match made in heaven for this. So essentially, here's this. I don't know if there's a way that maybe, Luke, you can replace my face right now with a box, and in this box, you're just going to put the graphic of the poster.
Only if we can still see your head and shoulders, and then the poster's just sitting on top of your neck.
Yep.
So you're looking at the poster right now, if Luke did this right. But it's the little kid in the shop at the beginning of the film, which I don't like. If you remember the shop, if you've seen Gremlins, there's that like weird shop in like Chinatown or something like that, where this guy goes to get a souvenir for his son, and it's that shop.
Yeah.
And it's perfect because there's stuff on the shelves, there's stuff hanging from the ceiling, there's stuff on the walls. And I don't want to like say any of the references specifically, but you've got the Ghostbusters referenced in there. You've got Ninja Turtles referenced in there. You've got, like I said, Stranger Things. You got Jaws. You've got The Thing referenced in there. You've got Blade Runner referenced in there. I can't wait to get this piece in because it's 24 by 36, and I've probably already identified like 35.
Nice.
But to know that there's even more, like I'm like stoked.
Yeah.
To get this piece. So I don't think that they're for sale anymore. So sorry, but if you can find it on eBay, then I would say you're gonna want to try to pick one of these up, especially if you're a fan of the 80s, especially if you're a fan of TV and film, because you're not just buying. I mean, it totally fits the Gremlins theme too. So if you're a fan of Gremlins, then you're gonna love it because it's like quintessentially Gremlins. But if you're a fan of just TV and film or nostalgia, this piece is for you too, because it covers so many other bases. It seems like they just kind of said, have a field day with this. Like Adam Smasher comes to him and says, hey, Kevin, we want you to do one of your famous Easter egg pieces. We want it to be the Gremlins and do whatever you want. And that's kind of what it feels like happened.
Yeah.
Because, man, it's like Christmas threw up nostalgia on this poster, and it's amazing. And like he's an incredible artist, so everything is so well rendered that it's like it's stupid. And there's a variant version. I prefer the original, like the regular, not the variant, because I think the colors are a little bit more suited.
Sure.
But man, You saw a quick snippet of it when Luke put that on my face, but if you didn't, if you're just listening to this, go check out the piece.
It's so good. It's so good. And the thing is, Gremlins terrified me when I was younger, and it's not something that I like care about. But the piece is so good it doesn't matter, and all those other references mean that anyone can find something to like hook into.
Exactly.
Sure.
It transcends the film 100%.
Totally. Oh yeah, totally.
100%. It could be you could remove Gizmo from that little box in the front. You could remove the gremlin from the piece, remove the title bar Gremlins, and it becomes just a fine art piece that is a like a Where's Waldo or like a whatever piece. Like it's
a pop culture Where's Waldo. Yeah.
It works great in so many levels.
Although that
so anyway,
is a thing in pop culture,
Kevin Wilson, go check out his website. He's Ape Meets Girl, by the way.
Yes.
I've been saying his actual name, but his moniker is Ape Meets Girl.
Yep.
Follow him on Instagram. He's always posting great stuff. He's an incredible artist, an incredible dude, super nice. And I can't wait to hang this piece up in my house.
Yeah.
So, Patrick, take us home.
Yeah, so this will be Quick Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah.
This will be a quick murder.
I was going to lead into it quickly, but then pregnant pausing.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea of Murder on the Orient Express, it's based on a novel from, I think, the 30s.
Pushed by Sapphire.
Based on the bottom, yes, the novel Pushed by Sapphire.
There has been a movie made several decades ago, and this is this isn't the first time that this has shown up in our lifetime, but here we are again. Apparently, a story that needed to be retold. I guess I don't know because I'm not familiar with any of the other versions of it. So this is like my first introduction to this world. But the idea is that there's a group of people and they're on a train. And guess what? There's a murder. This is all in the title. And but there happens to be a murder. When Hercule Poirot, the best investigator in all of the world, is on the train. And so
what is he investigating?
Huh?
What is he investigating?
Murder.
Bum, bum.
So anyway, it's very straightforward. So
yeah,
I want to say no spoilers, but the ending has been out for decades.
Yeah,
I mean 80
years. I don't want to hear it though.
No, it's fine. I'm not going to, but I'll just say it's very straightforward. I mean, in a lot of ways, plays.
Is it the same ending as the original? Because I don't remember seeing the original or reading the book, the Agatha Christie.
My understanding is it is the same ending.
Cool. I just wanted to know that for me. That's it.
In many ways, it feels like a classic film.
Mm-hmm.
Partly in the pacing, partly in how straightforward a lot of the investigation is. There isn't a lot of unnecessary tension.
Yeah.
Which is maybe something you would expect more from this type of genre or a movie that had this type of subject material. But it is actually very, very straightforward and mostly, again, I don't know a great way to say it, kind of like tension-free. So I don't know if that changes your expectations. That being said, it's an enjoyable film. I actually the lead character again, Hercule. The joke is everybody calls him Hercules and he corrects them. But Hercule Poirot, I ended up liking his character much more than I thought I would based on the preview, because in the preview, he says he's doing the narration. He has that one-liner or whatever,
right, and
a really stupid mustache. And I had just decided I hated him.
Is that the one that uses the Imagine Dragons as the trailer and just feels really awkward?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The greatest detective or whatever.
Yeah.
Partly probably because of Imagine
Dragons.
Mustache.
I mean, come
partly
on.
Partly because of the mustache. I just decided I did not like this guy.
The mustache sleeping gear? Spoiler alert.
Yeah, we have to stop saying things. But yeah, so I was predisposed
you can't
to
say something and then say spoiler alert.
I mean, that's not a spoiler. I mean, come on. Seriously. In
relation to the lead character, I was who's played by Kenneth Branagh.
Kenneth
I don't know how you pronounce a GH. I was going into it hoping that the killer would strike again. I was not rooting for this guy. He turned me. So, and I'll say one more thing as far as setting the tone, and then otherwise I'm going to let you watch it. You know how when you saw Spider-Man, and I'm talking about the trilogy from a decade ago.
Yeah.
Toby Maguire.
Yeah, Mr. Toby Maguire. You know how like it played a bit like a comic book would look like. It was exaggerated and people were larger than themselves as far as like the way they acted. Like
yes.
It definitely, especially if you're thinking like the Daily Planet or something like, what's it called? Is it the Daily Planet?
Yeah.
Cool. It's just, it was like watching, I don't think that's right at all. The
Daily Planet is
Daily Bugle.
Daily Bugle. Daily Planet is
Superman.
Okay, I assume they're the same, but like especially like those characters played a bit like a comic book, and so you have to accept that. You have to understand that it is some version of a reality, but it is not fully rooted in our own, in the way people are acting. And I would say the same thing. It took me a few minutes at the beginning of this film to be okay with the version of reality they were showing me.
Yeah,
because it's a bit too clean. It's a bit too polished. It's a bit exaggerated, and I had to become okay with that. So I would say the first 10 to 15 minutes of the movie was me becoming okay with the tone, me becoming okay with the cinematography and all that kind of stuff. Once I got past that boundary, I was totally sucked in. I was with the film the whole time. There's
just a bit of a learning curve.
There's a bit of a learning curve. The ending, and again, I did not know the ending, and I don't know how that affects people, whatever. I personally struggled with it a bit, and I have some other thoughts about it, but I'm going to wait, Andrew, till you see it maybe next week or the week after.
Sure.
We can just take 5 minutes.
I'll be seeing it tomorrow morning. I already have my ticket.
So next week we'll take 5 minutes, and I'll give you my full thoughts about it, but I'll just say I walked away a bit let down. But that being said, there's a good chunk of the movie, especially
to talk more because I felt the exact same way.
But the first half of the film, I was right there. I was in it, and again, I got won over.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear you say you had a learning curve going into it, because the first 15 to 20 minutes of the film, it was not what I expected it to be, and it was actually refreshing for me. I was like, oh, I like this. It's more of a it puts you in a fantasy detective world. It's not as period piece or true crime maybe as I thought it might be. Like I thought it would be a little bit more of like a period piece mixed with like just more realistic crime drama. But it was very much more of like a fantasy, and there were characters were actually characters. Now, on that same note, that's where I have a little bit of problems with the film, because I feel like much like movies back when the original was made, everything was kind of spoon-fed to you, and everything was very kind of easy. There was no questions. There was no like, oh yeah, of course he would figure that out. Or I think it was, I forgot how movies used to just give you information instead of you kind of going on the journey together. And
it's more explicit and less implicit.
Yeah. Yes. Better
and
way to say it.
there's pros and cons to that. There are things about that I absolutely think are refreshing. And then also things where you're walking into a murder mystery. You have an expectation based on what you've seen the last 5 years, 10 years.
Right.
It's going to be different than that. So,
but it was great acting. Great. Like the characters, were good. And if you think of it as a modern telling of a classic story, any of those hangups that you might have with characters will go away, because they play true to how,
because you believe the world that it's in.
Right.
So anyway, honestly, probably like a 5 or 6 out of 10. The first half of the movie was stronger. The ending, just anything that doesn't end strongly, like ending can make up for a lot, but an ending can also let down a lot.
Yeah.
For me, that sunk it a bit.
I'd probably give it a 6, maybe.
Yeah. So anyway, that's how I felt about it. But Murder on the Orient Express, it's something the whole family can watch. I mean, it's that way. Like nothing is too shocking or too whatever. So that's a good thing. In it. And it is an enjoyable film. I didn't have a bad time. I did not have a bad time.
And it's gorgeous. It looked really good. There's a couple bad green screen shots. Other than that, it was okay.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I think that's going to be it for this episode for the Master Categories. Make sure you check us out on mof1podcast.com where you can find show notes and links to all the stuff we talked about. You can also find it below us right here in the links if you're watching this on YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, if you're not watching it on YouTube, head over there, watch it, subscribe to the channel while you're there, like this video, share it, leave a comment below. Let us know what you're thinking about this new format. We are enjoying it. It's growing each and every week, but help us out. Be a part of that. Drop us a subscribe on iTunes as well. And I think we're going to be on the Google Play Store because now Luke has a non-iPhone, so we got to be on the Google Play Store.
Yep.
That makes sense now. So that chain of events.
You that eluded you earlier. Okay. Yeah. Wow. That's surprising. You must have been really busy when you read that because it made sense immediately.
I just do what I'm told. I don't think. It's just action from this guy.
While you're at all of these different places, subscribing and becoming part of what we're doing here, leave us a comment, rate and review the show. It helps us out a ton. It doesn't take you very much time at all. It doesn't cost you any money. Speaking of money, you can join us on Patreon and become a patron for very, very little money, and it helps us out a lot. So just go to patreon.com/mof1podcast. You can also join the conversation on Slack and on social media. Go to mof1podcast.com/Slack and just look up mof1 podcast on all the different platforms. We're there. We're ready to talk to you. We just breached 250,000 downloads. That's a quarter of a million.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being a part of what we've been doing for the last 3 years, and we're really excited to continue to do more and more. So, but thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We're going to get out of this episode, though. I'm Andrew.
I'm Patrick.
And I'm Luke.
Peace out.
Bye.
Hold on to your butts.